Welcome to the Elusive Podcast. You found us! We are a hard-to-find history podcast. Harder to find than something to watch at 9:47 on a Thursday night. I'm your host, primitive arborist and Awolowian Civil War historian, Levi Vanschoiack.
And I'm your other host, quilter and all-around granny craft core enthusiast, Lyndsay Burnett.
As always, at the top of the show, we like to hand out a little existential trigger warning. Some of the stuff we cover isn't super good for your mental health, so if you feel like you need to take a break and go touch grass, please do.
Listen, we get it. Some of the stuff we cover can be pretty rough.
Hey everybody! Welcome back to the show. Today's show is going to be a little different than the last few episodes. Lately, we have been covering some pretty rough subjects, and we think it's time to cover something else for a while.
Absolutely. We need a little brevity here.
So for today, we're going to be taking a break from all the depressing death and destruction, and instead, we're going to be focusing on a different kind of death and destruction.
Different kind?
It's different because this time it has flavor.
Oh, yum.
That's right. Today we are covering times that food has killed people.
But not how you think.
That's right. We aren't talking about the normal ways that food kills people. You know, diabetes, heart disease, strokes, driving head on into traffic because you dropped your chili dog in your lap. You know, the normal ways that people die from food. Instead, today, we'll be talking about the times that food has attacked humans. In some cases, to death.
To death, you say?
Yes, to death. Pummeled by pumpernickel, taken out by tapioca, laid to rest by lasagna, silenced by sushi, filled full of holes by phyllo dough, laid low by sourdough,
Oh.
decapitation by culinary derivation.
Okay. That was fun.
Thank you. Baking can be fun and delicious, for some of us. I'm not very good at baking.
Mm.
I'm better at smoking meat over an open fire. The few times that I have tried baking, for you, didn't turn out very well, did it?
No, it didn't. No. I mean, bless your heart.
I tried.
Yeah, smoking baked goods is not as good as smoking meats.
You know what? You just gave me an idea for a different kind of macaroon. That's fine.
No, thank you.
Well, I'm here to let you know that while I may not be the master of ingredients, at least nobody died.
That's true.
Unless you have something you need to tell me.
No.
Okay, good. Moving on. While I'm bad at mixing ingredients, my ingredients haven't made anyone drown or think that they are a firefly and jump out of a window. So for just today, I'm going to feel a little bit better than usual when it comes to my baking ability.
Yeah, that sounds like somebody was baking with drugs.
A little bit. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Because behind all three stories today is someone adding the wrong ingredient to an already dangerous situation. In the first story, the killer ingredient is the creeping death that is molasses, which I do not care for.
Death by molasses?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
And I eat like a hummingbird. Mm-hmm. So for me to hate something sweet, you know it's got to be nasty. Mm-hmm. This not-so-sweet nectar was the best you could hope for in a Pioneer snack. And I'm going to say it's like a super thick maple syrup that tastes nothing like maple syrup. Probably closer to cough syrup, in my personal opinion.
Right.
Like, to me, ginger snaps kind of taste like medicine. They kind of taste like cough drops.
Yeah.
So every time somebody tries to give me like a ginger snap, I'm like, I don't want your Ricola cookies. This time, even the molasses wasn't used for food. While some people ate the molasses in our story, it was actually used to make alcohol for munitions in World War I.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, little kids from the neighborhood would go get sticks and like get a whole bunch of molasses on the stick and then go home and lick it like lollipops.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah,
I can't even wrap my mind around that one.
Well, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but this molasses tank that was built in the middle of a residential neighborhood was in the middle of a residential neighborhood that included kids. So
that makes sense. Yes. Yeah. Okay.
The year was 1919 and the place was Boston, Massachusetts.
Okay. The year my grandma was born.
Oh, okay. At 12:45 on an unusually warm January 15th, the call came out over the radio. Send all available rescue vehicles and personnel immediately. There is a wave of molasses coming down Commercial Street.
I'm sorry. As somebody who worked in the medical field, I would be laughing like, do what?
Right.
What?
Well,
what's coming?
Here's a picture of the tank.
Oh my God.
Right.
I know it's black and white and colored. It looks like muddy water. That's not water.
A 50-foot tank of molasses exploded, unleashing a tidal wave of the stuff moving through the streets of Boston at 35 miles an hour.
35 miles an hour?
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea something that thick could move that fast.
That's right.
Oh my God.
Neither did anybody else.
Yeah, obviously.
When the wave hit, it swept away people, horses, dogs, and vehicles. This tsunami of not yummy wound up killing 21 people, mostly from asphyxia, when they were sealed into their homes or washed into the harbor.
Do what? That's insane.
Yeah.
Sealed into their homes?
Yeah.
That should be on Ron Perlman's, like, 1,000 Ways to Die.
He really needs to bring that show back.
Holy cow.
Over 150 people walked away with injuries from that day. It wasn't just the killer goo. The metal from the tank also flew out at high velocity and smashed through homes and businesses, as well as the steel bolts used to hold it together. Those bolts shot out at the surrounding landscape with the same velocity as some bullets.
So like a pressure-induced grenade.
Oh, pretty much, yeah. But like a massive 50-foot tall, 250-foot like tank.
And the size of this tank, I know you guys can't see it, but he showed it to me. It's insanely huge.
Please Google it now.
It's like, I don't know, 5-6 stories?
It's 5 stories, yeah.
5 stories. Mm-hmm. And so huge around. Like, it looks like a city block around.
Yeah.
I can't even wrap my mind around how much molasses it would take to put into that.
A couple million gallons.
And then just all of a sudden, boom. Did it make a noise when it exploded?
Yeah. It was, they said it sounded like at first it was like a creaking noise, and then it was just a boom and a rush.
Oh, that's creepy as hell.
Yeah, well, a lot of people witnessed seeing the top of the tank slide off before the whole thing just collapsed straight down from the top to the ground, which is what made the wave go out in a perfect 360 degrees.
So it kind of fell like a messed up wedding cake?
Yeah,
to
exactly
the side
like that.
and then down?
Exactly.
Oh, wow. But full of liquid? Nightmare? Okay, anyways.
And to keep up with the recent theme of the show of talking about horse murder, the horses in this story also had to be put down.
Oh.
You see, molasses hardens in the air and sunlight. And in this case, the horses were stuck in the muck up to their withers.
Oh, shit.
They tried really hard to pull them out. They were basically super glued in.
And for those of you out there who don't really know what the withers on the horse is, that's where the back of their neck meets their back. So where the hair on their mane stops, that's the withers. So basically the top part of the horse, not its head, but everything else was covered. That's insane.
Yeah, so they had to put them down.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah,
it took weeks to find all of the bodies. Some of them were only found when they started shooting the streets with salt water to unstick the tacky mess. I wrote the wrong thing there. Even years later, people reported that they could smell molasses in the area on hot days. All of this because the project was rushed. Nobody signed off on the storage tank, and nobody who built it was qualified to build or even design it. The worst part... Oh, you want to react to that?
I did want to react to that, because seriously, this seems to be the theme that happens over and over and over with disasters. Oh, well, we didn't have any knowledge, we didn't have any expertise, and we sure as hell didn't want to pay anybody who did. But here's our creation. Oops.
Would you say it was greed?
Yeah.
It's always greed.
It's always greed. Yeah.
The worst part is that there technically wasn't anyone who could have inspected it anyways, because you see, it's technically a container, and therefore didn't have to be inspected by the local building inspector to pass and to be declared safe to use.
Oh, so it was one of those loopholes.
Yeah.
Like, nothing to see here, folks.
Mm-hmm.
It exists, but it doesn't exist. Yay!
So just like the guy who sprayed poison all over Missouri at this time, this was completely legal. Everyone was doing shit like this during World War I. Everyone was pushing everything almost to the breaking point to make sure the war had enough resources it needed. And also, the profits to be made from those same resources. So basically what I'm saying is that it's greed again.
Again.
Who are we kidding? It's always greed.
Yeah.
Anyways, after years of dodging court dates and even trying to get reimbursed for the lost molasses, the company was forced to pay the sum of $300,000 to those that had been affected by the deluge.
Wow. So they actually they paid.
Yeah. It was one of the very first class action lawsuits in the country, actually.
Holy shit. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, good for the people that got paid, but of course they were balking.
That's pretty messed up, right?
Yeah, it's insane.
You want to know what one of the most messed up parts of the story is?
Well, I mean, why not?
The fact that they sprayed all of the molasses into the harbor and into the ocean.
Okay, I don't follow.
Okay. Now, nobody has reported on marine life death in the area, but because of this next story, I think there might have been a second hidden disaster that happened just offshore.
Oh, okay.
On September 2013, 1,400 tons of molasses spilled into Honolulu Harbor, when a faulty pipe malfunctioned while the molasses was being loaded onto the boat. Molasses is an unregulated product.
Still?
Which means nobody has a response plan in place if the stuff was ever spilled.
Yo, we're talking almost 100 years later.
We do not learn lessons.
1919 to 2013.
Mhm.
What the actual fuck, people?
When divers were sent down to check on the damage, they called up to the surface and said, everything is dead down here.
What?
You see, it first killed off all the fish and turtles and whatnot, and then they all sank to the bottom and caused a massive deoxygenation event.
Why? I don't understand.
Many kinds of coral were sickened, and even more than a few died. An estimated 26,000 fish and other members of marine species suffocated and died. 17,000 corals were also estimated to have died in the event. Unlike the Boston molasses disaster, this time there wasn't any danger to humans, so they didn't really do anything.
Oh.
Deciding to let nature take its course and relying on specialized bacteria to clean the mess up. They have said that even with all the damage, some species have come back, but it will never be as it once was. You see, molasses actually sucks oxygen out of the water.
For real?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's like, everything's suffocated down there.
Like a sponge, basically.
The same way the people died in Boston is the same way the fish died.
Holy shit.
Yeah. If you think about it that way. Asphyxiated by molasses.
I know this is probably a really stupid question, but why are we still using molasses?
Yeah, it's gross.
Is it just for cookies?
Well,
How many people want that many cookies?
So the reason they used so much molasses in Boston wasn't for food. So they were using it to make smokeless powder for World War I.
Oh.
For ammunition, for
alcohol,
bombs.
you were saying,
That's right. So it's one of the easiest ways to make alcohol for that use.
Oh.
Molasses is one of the best ones because it gives like a higher grain alcohol that nobody wants to drink.
Okay.
That being said, you back that off a little bit, and that's rum.
No kidding.
That's right.
Oh, well, I'm today years old for that one.
Now, see, I hate molasses, but as a sailor, I love rum. So
why is the rum always gone?
Because there's sailors in the world. That's why. Was that the lights just flickering?
Yeah, it's been doing that. Yeah.
Either that it's a ghost or we need to pay the electric bill. And since we've already covered that most of the time it isn't a ghost, we should probably pay the electric bill.
Yep, it's that time.
We'll be right back. And we're back.
Hello.
And the lights are on and they are beautiful. They are so bright and vivid. You know what else makes everything look bright and vivid? And maybe even a little more interesting? That's right. Acid. And
okay.
And that leads us right into our next story.
Oh, great.
Tell me, Lyndsay, what do you know about ergotism?
I know that because of ergot and the witch trials, we had a whole bunch of people thinking that women could do stuff that they couldn't.
But what is ergotism?
It is mold or bacteria, fungi, one of those that lives on rye grain,
That's
right? And then it can affect people's brains to hallucinate.
That's right. Mind-shattering hallucinations.
Right.
Yes.
Which is what happened to, I don't remember how many people in Salem, Massachusetts. A couple. And
it's always Massachusetts.
I mean,
don't eat anything from Massachusetts.
But yeah, that's what I know. Why? What's up?
Right on. Yeah, you know a lot about ergot poisoning. Unfortunately, this has nothing to do with our next story.
Okay then. Nice lead in.
Thank you. Instead, ergotism would be the cover story for the possible CIA op, where an entire population of Point Saint Esprit would be dosed, just so they could see what might happen.
Oh, yay! CIA has entered the chat. Again.
In 1951, this town along the Rhone River woke up to a living nightmare as the people began having mind-shedding hallucinations.
What the shit?
Some of which sound like what Dante was trying to warn us about in the Inferno. People claiming that they were being eaten by snakes. Like I mentioned before, one man on the second floor of the hospital said, "I'm a firefly," before jumping out of the window and breaking both legs.
Wow.
The gentleman then got up and ran away on those broken legs.
Okay, what?
Yeah.
That's some serious adrenaline.
Right.
Holy shit.
People describe things that sound pretty close to the ego death, while still others felt compelled to write hundreds of pages of poetry.
Okay.
Now, the reason I said that this has nothing to do with ergotism is because a few studies proved that had ergot been present, it would have burned up in the baking of the bread.
Oh.
The same was said of the idea of someone putting LSD in the dough, although they had to admit that the acid could have been put on the bread after it had been baked.
Oh, I didn't know that. So LSD disappears just like ergot when it's heated. Okay. Okay. I'm not liking where this is going.
Well, actually, all of the symptoms fit LSA, which is like a less refined cousin of LSD, which, along with the mind-shedding hallucinations, you'll also get horrible diarrhea that lasts for days.
The gift that keeps on giving. Okay, awesome. Right.
Imagine tripping your balls off and you can't stop shitting. Now you're thinking, am I seeing this? Am I hallucinating all this poop? Or is this actual poop?
Is this hell? This is hell.
This is hell. Dante, call in. You're caller number 9. Anyway. Also, ergot poisoning doesn't fit any of the symptoms the townspeople experienced. But you know what symptoms were a dead match to what they were going through? LSA. Right. Fits every single one of their symptoms, right down to the bowel-shedding diarrhea. Now, what's funny about this is the lab facility that was actually making the stuff for the CIA, the same stuff that would be used in MK Ultra, was made a convenient 24 miles away.
Oh, so they were the test subjects.
Pretty much.
Oh, God. Yay, America.
Also, they have declassified field reports that describe dropping aerosolized acid on the town, while another report described drugging the bread itself. That might all be bullshit, but it doesn't really sound like it is.
So it could have been double or triple dosed.
Yeah,
possibly.
Well, and then one of the studies was saying that that's why people had such wild, differing experiences, because when you sprinkle acid on bread, some of the drops are bigger, some of the drops are littler. So
you can't control the dosage.
That's right.
And then the pellets just from the sky.
Right.
So can animals trip on acid?
I'm glad you said that, because we're gonna get later.
God.
Yeah, a dog literally started compulsively chewing rocks until it broke all of its teeth out.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Nightmare. This is like you wake up in a nightmare. This is like Silent Hill, but with acid. This town also just lived through a nightmare during World War II.
Okay.
Because the German SS established an interrogation center in the town's citadel.
They did what?
Where they tortured and executed thousands of members of the French resistance. And then just dumped those bodies in the river.
PTSD, yay!
The whole town definitely had PTSD.
So after having all of that happen, America just decides to walk in and say, you know what, this is the perfect... Hey, they're French.
Well, it was described as a bombed-out ruin when this all happened. So, yeah, collateral.
Okay.
Yeah. It was bombed and partially destroyed in 1941. Just a short 10 years later, these people will be tripping their balls off.
Oh, my God.
300 people were affected out of the population of 4,500. 30 of those had to be institutionalized long-term in asylums.
Oh, that is tragic.
5 people died, and 1 dog shattered all of his teeth compulsively chewing on rocks.
That's what you were saying.
To this day, nobody really knows what happened there, and it looks like we probably never will know what happened there, which is probably fine.
So you're saying they dosed some people so badly that they permanently broke their brain?
Yes.
30 people?
Yes.
Is there any reports that you found of like the local newspapers being like, we think everybody's crazy?
Yeah, it was the big deal of the time. And then the French government was like, oh yeah, it's ergot poisoning, which they got behind so fast because of the plausible deniability.
Of course. Yep. Don't want to be involved in that. Well.
You ready for an aggressive segue?
Yeah, sure. Whiplash.
I love when you make fresh baked bread.
Oh, thank you,
It makes the whole house smell good. You know what doesn't smell good? Mm-mm. A disaster caused by exploding flour.
Excuse me, what?
I recently found out that aerosolized flour can work just like a fuel air explosive bomb. You know? A daisy cutter?
Oh, dangerous.
So what it does is it has a daisy cutter has a primary explosion that sends out a vapor wave of combustible fuel, followed by a secondary, smaller explosion that ignites that vapor, moving it close to the speed of sound.
Holy shit.
The explosion is devastating, and it's one of the reasons that fuel air explosives can't be used on civilian populations. Unless you live in that one town from outbreak, then it's fine.
Okay. It's against the Geneva Convention?
That's right.
Okay.
Anyways, on May 2nd, 1878, that's pretty much what happened. Minneapolis, Minnesota was the flour capital of the world. They even called it Flour City because of all the mills in town.
Really? Okay.
That's right. The Washburn A Mill was the largest mill in the world at the time, and also the biggest industrial building in the city. It was 7 stories tall and was right against the mighty Mississippi. Quick side fact, aside from the risk of being blown to kibbles and or bits, the men who worked in the mill also had to worry about baker's lung.
What's that?
Which is another way that food can kill you in a way you didn't think it could.
Okay.
So what happens is flour gets into the lungs and mixes with the natural fluids and whatnots and makes dough.
Oh, God.
It causes a really painful form of asthma that sucks until you die. Some have even gone as far to say that it's actually more painful than black lung that coal miners get. I don't know. I just know that I don't want it. Anyways, back to the book.
Yeah, no, definitely don't want that at all. I can't even imagine that.
Basically, when these men die from this and they do autopsies, their entire lung is like one big cracker or biscuit or pancake. That's...
I kind of imagine what dough looks like when you've mixed it in the mixer, but that's in your lobes of your lungs. That's...
Imagine just coughing up little cookies while you're just sitting on the couch.
No, not even cookies, just cookie dough.
Ugh. The explosion happened at shift change when the 200-man day shift was clocking out and the night shift was clocking in.
So while everybody's there.
Right. Just like the Triangle Shirtwaist Fire, it happened at shift change.
At shift change. Okay.
Right. The fire was caused when 2 of the milling plates were used to pulverize the flour, clanged together, and made a spark.
Oh, no.
These men lived in daily fear of fire. It was one of the only places where you could get your ass good and kicked for smoking.
So they knew that it was highly
because this
flammable?
isn't the first time this has happened. This has actually happened throughout history, like a long time.
Oh, so humans know. Okay.
Humans know.
I'm 8 years old.
We're just finding out, but we don't mill a lot of flour.
No,
so.
I mean, who? Yeah. Okay.
Everyone was paranoid about making sparks, and this is why. The fire caught the flour dust, and an explosion ran through the building like an ostrich on crack, killing 18 instantly.
Oh my God. Ostrich on crack. I mean, that's hilarious mental image, but not the exploding flour.
Right. This mill was capable of making 200 barrels of flour a day.
Oh, wow.
So imagine how much was in there.
A lot, yeah.
Well, it was enough to blow the roof off the building.
Really?
Yes. And the fire was so hot that they couldn't even fight it. Just like the Pepcom plant explosion here in Vegas.
Oh.
Because of the hot embers and debris falling, 5 more mills caught on fire and exploded.
Oh, shit. Because it's the capital
Flour City
of the world. Oh, wow.
Luckily, only 4 more people were killed in these mills. One of these people was actually the owner of one of the mills.
Oh.
In the end, half of the mills in Flour City would be destroyed by the disaster. The owner of the Washburn Mill, Mr. Washburn, if you will, went to the site and traced out the new factory in the ashes of the old while the fire was still burning.
That is some heartless shit right there.
Give this man some credit. And in fact, he would have it rebuilt in a short amount of time.
Okay.
But while doing so, he would also implement new safety measures and endeavored to make the whole business safer, making him the good guy of the story, and someone should buy him a beer.
Really? He actually did the good thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow,
someone should buy him a beer. Well, not a beer from London, October 17th, 1814, because let me tell you, that beer was fucking dangerous.
Wait, we're going back in time now?
This is another aggressive segue.
Oh, splash! Here we go.
Unless you want to talk more about the flour.
No, I'm horrified.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think in modern day, we've been separated so far from how people make food that this knowledge is kind of crazy.
Well, I can't help but thinking that if somebody had added a little bit of oil, they could have rued the day.
Oh, sir.
Okay. Well, if you're not going to make any flour puns, I'm going to.
Look, man, I don't know what to say. I'm not the jokester here. You've got the better jokes. Okay. Obviously.
Well, there's no greater joke than history. And here we go. Beer has been a companion to humans for thousands of years.
True story.
And up until recently, it's been considered a drinkable form of bread.
Right.
People have used beer since the pyramids as drinkable food. And that's why this disaster makes it into today's show.
All right.
Because this liquid food will kill you, and not the DUI way that you're thinking.
Okay.
At 4:30 p.m., a wooden fermentation tank exploded.
All right.
This little old thing was 22 feet high and held about 500 normal-sized barrels of beer inside it.
That's huge.
Yeah.
22 feet high. That's massive.
Well, this tank exploded, sending wooden shrapnel into the other fermentation tanks at the Horseshoe Brewery and St. Giles Rookery. This caused a chain reaction. In the end, 320,000 gallons of beer moving in a 15-foot wave exploded out of the brewery.
It's the molasses all over again.
But
this time it's yeasty.
Yes. Okay.
Sorry.
The wave rolled down the street, filling houses and basements. One of these basements was having an Irish wake for a child who had died.
Oh, God.
And 6 people from that funeral drowned in the beer. In the end, an estimated 8 people wound up dying from the Great London Beer Flood.
I'm so sorry. I don't even know what to say to that. 8 people died from beer.
Mm-hmm.
But beer tastes so good. Oh, but you died in it.
It's
Take
just
that
like
out. We didn't have to
no,
put
it's
that
just
in.
like Beer Fest when when the guy falls into the tank and he's like, I have to drink my way out of it.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah. I know that there's a joke here somehow,
somewhere, but it's not funny. Also,
no, it's tragic.
It's right on the line.
Beer,
which in tennis means that it's out.
Right out
if it's on the line. When the brewery was eventually sued for the damages that were caused, the judge deemed that it was an act of God, and therefore they weren't liable for the damages.
Wait, stupidity is an act of God now?
Yes.
Okay.
And just like with the molasses company, the Horseshoe Brewery claimed the lost beer in their insurance claim and actually wound up walking away with a profit.
Oh my! That's green.
They used that profit to rebuild the brewery and spent money making the fermentation tanks out of concrete, making it safer and ensuring this would never happen again.
Well, I mean, at least they used a medium that wouldn't explode. Well, unless it degrades and then just... No, God.
That's just
I hate to hear so much.
Initially, reports came out saying that the people were out soaking up beer in anything they could, and the drunken masses actually hampered the rescue operation. This turned out to be false, although, after the sun went down, the whole neighborhood was said to have been deep in their cups that night.
So it was propaganda or it wasn't?
It was propaganda. They were saying that everybody was out there slurring and drunk and everything. Actually, people were trying to haul people out of the basements and they were trying to get them help.
Oh.
But later on, when the sun went down, everybody had buckets of beer and barrels of beer.
Okay.
So they just got hammered.
So during the daytime, they were helping people, but at night, all bets are off.
Okay. That's right. Well, I mean, they've already helped.
It's time to wind down.
When the sun went down, they've said to have been deep into their cups that night, and I don't blame them a single bit. If my whole neighborhood was flooded with beer, I'm not sure I would live through that sober. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No way.
But yeah, this whole episode just goes to show you that when people add one extra ingredient to the molasses, it was danger.
Not stupidity.
Well, greed. Greed was the bad. I think greed was probably the bad ingredient. Fire was the bad ingredient with the flour.
Yeah.
And then wood was the bad ingredient when it came to the beer.
I mean, all of this just kind of boggles my mind a little bit because we need stuff like, food to continue to survive. But then we're also stupid humans who don't do things correctly.
In the research for this episode, I came across so many stories of people falling in vats, people falling into meat grinders, people all of the stories with factory food. You can't trust any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Because, things happen and greedy people are unscrupulous.
Right. I thought for certain one of the stories that you would have said was something like that, like canning or cut the words. What's
canning? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Canning.
Industrial accidents.
Oh,
like losing a finger and showing up in your Vienna sausages or whatever.
Yeah, the problem with that is nobody died from it, though.
That's true.
Except for the guy that fell into the peanut grinder to make peanut butter. And then they went ahead and I think they sold that peanut butter.
Ha!
Yeah, there's a whole lot of stories of so the 2 most unregulated foods that you can buy, 3 are coffee, chocolate, and peanut butter. If you are eating chocolate, coffee, or peanut butter, there's a chance that you're not only just eating bugs, but also probably rats, mice, grasshoppers, because they don't have to those are the most unregulated things. They don't have to actually have somebody watching over saying
horrific.
Hey. Right.
I know this is a sound medium. You can't see the absolutely terrified look on my face because I like all 3 things that you just mentioned there.
Yeah, they're all
I like them a lot.
Yeah.
But apparently it comes with extra ingredients, not other ways on the label.
Well, there's also other things that are involved in canning. The Dole Fruit Slave Collective on Hawaii, where they enslaved the entire island of Hawaii to make sure that pineapples would be flowing across the Pacific. Yeah. And how many people lost hands, feet, whatever, lives in the canning process of all that food?
And sugar cane.
Sugar cane. the absolute villain of every story.
But these are the things that you expect when you start looking into history. Like,
Right.
Obviously slavery and...
Well, if you want a super callback, some of the molasses that the cane toads were sent to protect actually was some of the stuff that dumped into Honolulu Harbor.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Just tie it all in together with the cane toads from the...
It's stupid on stupid inception.
Right. And that's the
my
thing is there's no regulating body over all of this saying, hey, that's stupid, don't do that.
Yeah.
See, we're innovators and we think everything is an innovation, including putting cane toads in a place where they would run rampant.
Does nobody... Yeah, okay.
Nobody does. I'd like to remind you of the story of the 1970s when they were spraying engine oil on roads to keep the dust down.
Yeah. I know I didn't finish that sentence, but does nobody think things through properly ever anymore? Like, what might be the effect on myself or further generations?
They stop right at the point where they see profit.
As soon as they see money.
When they're imagining it, they don't imagine the consequences. They just imagine all of the money rolling in, the unscrupulous money that they can have generational wealth. Because everybody is just a temporarily embarrassed millionaire.
Disgusting.
It is bad.
Well, fun times.
Yeah.
Definitely not the way that I expected for the death to happen, food-wise. Yeah.
Right. Well, you don't expect to be sitting down eating, French bread and then all of a sudden, jump out of a window because you're a firefly.
See, and that's not the one that disturbs me the most. The one that disturbs me the most is the idea of being home, I don't know, preparing dinner or whatever, and hearing a weird creaking and then a bang, and then being sealed in your house.
Right.
Because somebody somewhere didn't do the specs correctly.
Oh, I don't think I'm describing the scene. So when the molasses wave hit these apartments, it was like a bubble of molasses that went over their entire apartment building.
That's what I'm saying.
Sealing out all air coming in. They couldn't get out of the windows. They were...
Because of the viscosity of the...
At that point, when it starts to harden, it's almost like rubber cement.
Or tar, right?
Yeah. And it's hard they couldn't get out of their homes.
Yeah, no way.
Yeah, that's...
It's even difficult to get out of your house if you've been snowed in. I can't even imagine the extra viscosity of molasses. And then the smell?
Yeah, everything tastes like Ricola cookies. Yeah. Yeah. So that's our episode for today with the data parts.
It's the fun parts of life.
Whew. The next episode, Lyndsay, you're taking the reins.
I am indeed. I'm going to be covering Love Canal, New York.
Nice.
I got really interested on the super fun things that you've been talking about. Super funds, not super fun. As most things that we cover on this podcast, it's not super fun, but here we are.
Love Canal was the first super fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're going to be covering the terror of that next week, and I'm going to be the one driving this beast.
I can't wait to see your perspective when you find out about the melting sneakers.
Okay, hey now, don't you get ahead of yourself. This is my story.
Fine. That's my favorite part of the story. So, yeah.
We have noticed that when we originally started this, we wanted to surprise each other with these stories. But it's getting more and more difficult to surprise each other because we both have been doing research on these things, and some of them cross-platform.
That, and I'm not good at keeping secrets, and I can't shut the fuck up when I read something crazy like molasses explosion.
Like, oh my God! And actually, I'd heard about the molasses explosion slightly before, so that's... I'm glad that you elucidated on the subject for me. I feel a little bit more knowledgeable about killer foods.
Well, I'm not going to live around any molasses tanks. I can tell you that much. Or flour, or beer.
Right out.
So that's it. Well, for now, I think might have to do another food episode down the line somewhere in the future.
Okay.
How are you feeling after hearing all of that, Lyndsay?
A little overwhelmed. Feel like my food could kill me. Other than just the fact that I can't chew and swallow properly, it could kill me in just many different ways.
Are you good and mad?
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and do the karmic suggestion box now?
Yeah. Hey, guess what? It's my turn this time.
Get him.
Yes. So, for the karmic curse this week, I'd like it to go to the bastard who built the container for the molasses.
Mr. Gel.
Mr. Gel?
Yeah.
Oh, horrible name to have for somebody
Right?
who ruined things. Yes, okay. So for Mr. Gel, cutting corners and only caring about profit, Karma, may you find ways to coat Mr. Gel in sticky substances in their next life. You know, like a kid with sticky hands. May they be plagued with flypaper level of stickiness for the rest of their next karmatic cycle.
No, I don't know. As somebody who doesn't like sticky things, I can't even eat syrup without, like,
Gotta
no.
wash your hands constantly.
Right.
You need a wet nap. Can you do it?
My turn.
All right.
I would like to suggest that if the CIA was behind the bread poisoning at Pont Esprit, anyone involved should experience other people's mind-shattering flashbacks for the rest of their lives. Which, if done right, should be both confusing and madness-inducing.
All right. Yeah. I mean, it's the CIA. Please.
Please. And now I'm gonna jump the line on you this time and do good karma first.
Okay.
Karma, if you're listening, please reach out and bless anyone learning sign language. Please make it so that instead of just learning to communicate with their hands, they also develop a Professor X level of telepathy. This should also include the ability to talk to dogs, cats, pigs, horses, and the legendary mantis shrimp.
Ooh.
Because I would want to know what they are thinking about.
That's some baller moves there. Yeah, Karma, go ahead and hook that up.
Oh yeah.
But okay. For the good karma, for those people out there in our world helping other people, the ones who are setting up and executing mutual aid, may a costume stranger deliver gifts to them every night, and may that magic never fail to inspire.
And also, just those people also don't get nervous that a stranger dressed as a magical creature is breaking into their house. So you need to put that.
Because, no, it's a special gift, not a nightmare.
Not a nightmare, yeah.
You know, like a magical creature, like, Tinkerbell or whatever.
Or Sully from Monsters, Inc.
It doesn't have to be scary, but yeah. Cute. Cute.
Yeah, or just they should know that it's going to happen.
Exactly.
So that,
Yes.
Yeah.
Like a tooth fairy putting the money underneath the pillow, you know?
But teeth fairy are also creepy as shit, though.
Okay, look. I tried.
What's your teeth, kids? Give me some money.
Here's some money.
What are you guys doing with all these fucking teeth? That's what I want to know. You building a life-size model of something out of teeth?
A teeth golem?
No. God. Okay, I'm going to have nightmares about that.
Yeah, well, you brought it up.
Oh, my God. Well, that's going to do it for us today. Yeah, I'm gonna think about taking up like alcoholism or something. I don't know.
Need a mental cleanse, definitely.
Oh my God, that was a lot. But also, I think this was a lot more fun than. But aside from the horse murder, this is a lot more fun than the last ones.
I mean, death by history.
Death by history.
Food, you know,
for the little guy, because nobody else will. So
exactly.
Yeah.
But until then, make sure you stay
elusive.